and make sure their content is being handled properly. If an author wants to personally give their module to somebody else to play in a home campaign, that's fine. Then what if a couple of years down the road somebody now is really interested in the Star Wars D6 system, and so then they start going to conventions, and they show up at a convention and they're that the same event that they've already played in is there. We try to avoid that kind of situation from happening. By running it at conventions or approved events, they get credit for playing that event. If you played it in a home campaign setting, you wouldn't get credit for that. But also, as I said, it's protecting the authors. If the author has a certain feel and a presentation that they want, they are respecting Sparks enough to say, you can use this content, but we want to have control over who's going to be running our content. And we actually even have a judge qualification list where authors can specifically say, have given an inclusive or an exclusive list of, these are the people that I know that will be able to run this module the way I want it run, and so these are the only people that can run this module. So not even all of our judges can run all of our modules. Judges can also do an exclusion list. I don't think this person has the right feel for this type of module. I don't want that judge running this module. And so they could actually exclude judges from running that. And that's within our own community of approved judges. So there's a lot of people that don't want their content being run by people that they don't know or don't understand if they will run it the way they intended. So
you have to understand, I mean, I'm not judging the decision-making processes that your group is making, but, I mean, on the surface, from a person like me who's looking in, it does seem to be a bit top-heavy, perhaps even a little heavy-handed, almost a little exclusionary, perhaps even elitist. Can you kind of see that sort of from a person that's looking at it from the outside?
Well, to that, I would just say basically Sparks is written to be an ongoing campaign. It's not designed to be a home campaign. There are things I do in my personal home campaign that I wouldn't even think of presenting to the Sparks Council for approval in the system. The home campaign is a completely different animal than an ongoing campaign. These modules are written as ongoing campaign. There's certain constraints that we have on these modules that they're not for home campaign groups. And we understand that people want that, but again, we've written it as an ongoing campaign. We attend plenty of conventions all over the place, and if people want to become a Sparks judge, they see us at one of the conventions and they play some of these events, and they want to basically host Sparks at a convention in their area, or even a game day or something like that. If they're qualified, we give them the modules and you can run it. So you could run those events. Say you're saying like 102, 103, 104. If you want to run those events with your home group, you can do that, but you would have to set it up as a game day where other people in the area could come. We don't want an ongoing module being taken into someone's basement and being run as their personal campaign content. It has to be open to pretty much an ongoing community.
Okay. Well, certainly, I didn't want to offend you in any way with that question. It's one of those ones where it's like, I mean, if you're a person looking in the glass bubble, I suppose you'd be like, that's sort of an odd way of doing things, and question it perhaps.
With that aspect, it's perfectly understandable because we have received a lot of requests like that. Say, hey, I've heard about your campaign. Can you send us your modules so I can run them over here at home? And again, we like to have that, I guess, I don't know if elitist or whatever, but we like to have that control aspect of our content, of our material, where we actually have, as I said, approved judges. We have listed what it is to be a qualified judge for specific modules, but we also have our own handbook where there are some special rules that are not covered with the general Spark rules. Some of them are clarifications, but other ones are expansions on those rules. Our modules are written with those things in mind, with tiering, with balance, and as I said, we do protect our content quite a bit, and as I said, if we send it out, it's not necessarily that it's copyrighted, but again, we're trying to respect the author's content. If you write something and then you find out a couple of years later that people are using it all over the place, and then it's like, oh, well, I ran that, but I didn't like the way this was set up, so I changed this to this, or I didn't think this Dark Jedi was powerful enough, so I made him this. Well, that's changing the author's content and the author's material. And I know I'm very protective over the stuff I write. I'm very, very exclusive as to who I allow to run my content.
Okay. Well, now, you had talked about Spark events at a number of conventions that you guys have people at that are running events. Now, I know with me, where in my physical location, I don't have any conventions that I can go to, and I'm certainly not driving 12 hours one way, plus hotel, gas, and everything like that, just to go up and play a Sparks event, as much as I would love to. All right? Have the council members considered some online conventions that are out there, like LUGCon? Give a nod out there to Trey Grisby. He's been handling that for the last year. Or some other online conventions, such as Contessa and stuff of that nature.
Well, I haven't heard too much from like requests for that kind of format. I am sure some of our judges and players would definitely be interested in that kind of thing, and it would definitely be something that I think we would look at trying to do, because we've tried to promote Sparks and Star Wars, all sorts of different capacities throughout technology, but that's not one that I'm very familiar with. I know I haven't heard a lot from those kind of communities for any kind of online content, but if it could be set up where, as I said, it respects the rules of the ongoing campaign, those would be something that we would look into, definitely.
Well, for anybody interested in attending a Sparks event or even just looking over the material, where could they go?
To look over some of the material we have, like as far as rules and stuff, you'd probably want to go to our Yahoo group site, and that is spark47@yahoogroups.com, and basically we could approve your membership to that group. We have a lot of our rules and content on there. That's also our main avenue for keeping in touch with players and judges for upcoming conventions. And like as you were saying, you don't have conventions in your area. I'd actually be surprised, because there are a number of conventions that are run all over the place, and we have people that are running conventions, as I said, this year and last year, that have never had Sparks before. But once you have that interested base in a certain area, if they can get on board with that convention, you can grow a campaign there. As I said, CharCon several years ago didn't have any events, and now we run 3 tables a slot at CharCon. So.
Got anything in Iowa?
No, I don't think so, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you have a local game store, you could set up game day events and set something up there. So I'm not familiar with what conventions are out there, but I'd be surprised if there isn't a convention somewhere around there. Most cities, or if you have a local game store, you probably will have a convention that you hear about somewhere out there.
Right. I was just curious if there's anybody in Iowa, because like I said, the closest convention I can ever get to is like 10, 12 hours away. Chicago. That's 7.
Well, Don, you have anything else for him?
No, I don't. He's been a great person to grill. He's been very gracious and shared a lot of information. We appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you for being on the show, Stephen.
My pleasure.
How about you, Stephen? Do you have anything that you'd like to add in? And if so, we'll go ahead and we'll give you a silent segment.
Just basically letting people know that we're out there, and as I said, we do a lot of different conventions in the Chicago area, Indianapolis, West Virginia, up in Milwaukee, and if there's conventions out there, we might be able to get some people out in the Iowa area. And we'd definitely like to see people come out. All you got to do is show up and have an interest in playing Star Wars. You don't even have to know the rules. We'll basically show you what you need to know and get you going. Just have that cinematic feel in your heart and enjoy the game.
There you heard it, guys. If you have an interest and you want at a convention, you got one near you, give the council a holler, see if you can go ahead and get approved as a judge, and you too might be able to run a Sparks convention, or a Sparks adventure. Well, Stephen, appreciate it so much for showing up today and allowing us to ask you some questions and just get to spend a little time with you.
Well, thanks again, Dan, Don.
Have a good one. And now for the news. Don, what about your posts?
This week? Well, this week, the Adventure Seed Monday, again, keeping in mind that it's all generated randomly off of a really cool set of charts, came up with something kind of unique this week. The main goal is going to be recover some stolen data. It takes place in a desert. The complication is going to be a holy war. The opposition is going to be a warlord crime boss. And there's going to be a special hazard this week of a legendary bounty hunter. Yep, so I'm sitting here thinking that it's probably going to be Star Wars Dune with the Spacing Guild being like the warlord crime bosses, and that the legendary bounty hunters are going to be like the Bene Talaxu, or they're going to be like maybe Reverend Mothers or Bene Gesserit.
Awesome.
I'm just saying, it could happen. Of course, we got Random Adventure 16 coming out this week. Character Tuesday was Blix Fortuna. Private investigator film noir meets Star Wars.
She walked into my office, all 6'2", blue, and with the most beautiful set of head tails you ever saw.
Yes. I knew she was trouble when she walked in my office. Yeah, that one. Rumor Wednesday, what appears to be a living ship has been seen, and then insert the galactic region or planet that you want to put in. I thought it was kind of cool.
I like it.
Planet of the week was Hulsta. It's a heavy gravity world with a very small population. It has an imperial governor, and it's used for natural resources, which is tied to the significant feature of the planet, which is huge crater fields caused by meteorite impacts. These impacts are then mined for resources. The planet has a stellar-class starport and has about a 10 to 15% hydrographics proportion. What's kind of cool about this is that it doesn't necessarily need to be water. It could be another element.
Ooh.
I know. The brain reels at the possibilities.
And this week is, for my character, was Sebulba, the angry pod racer.
Voodoo.
Exactly. The interesting things about Sebulba that I discovered were that Sebulba started as a slave, just like Anakin did, and he freed himself from slavery, just like Anakin did as well, by pod racing. He's a very nasty racer, too. He gets aggressive as he pilots. He'll even go so far as to cheat.
No.
Yeah. He even had a son that could not pod race for anything. He wrecked Sebulba's pod.
Where'd this take place at? Do you know? Was it just EU stuff? Or?
I don't know exactly where. I can't cite the sources. I can't remember right off the top of my head. I think it's in the comics or something.
I'll have to check into that.
Sebulba. No, it's the games. There's Racer Revenge, and Super Bombat Racing.
Super Wombat Racing?
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
And now for the buffet.
And as I say every week, the buffet! Hey, we need to talk about the wild dying complications this week, Daniel.
Sadly enough, yes. When Don called me up about this and said he had made a groundbreaking revelation and said that we've been screwing up complications this whole time, not just me but him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat down and looked over Rules and Revised and Expanded, which reads, that we have a choice.
All right. Well, first of all, we need to start off with that there are three, in Revised and Expanded, there are three options available to you as a game master to put on your characters or your players. The first one is you just ignore it. Just add it up normally. All right. That's not much fun. You can either subtract the 1 and also subtract the next highest die, which is the most common. The other one, and this came down to how the sentence was structured. Basically, as it says in the rules is written, total up the skill dice normally. Now, if the roll succeeded, but he rolls a 1, or they roll a 1, a complication occurs. So what it says is basically